Never set foot on the ranch, Olivia. Promise me. My husband, Robert, a quiet engineer, said those words with a chilling intensity I'd never heard before. For 24 years, our lives in Phoenix, Arizona, had been a calm, steady hum. I was a high school English teacher, and he was my rock. He asked me to stay away from the remote Montana property where he grew up, and I honored that wish, even as I wondered what secrets it held. But then he was just gone. A heart attack, a sudden silence where his voice used to be. Just like that, I was a 52-year-old widow, and the solid ground under my feet had turned to thin air. 2 weeks after the funeral, I sat in a big fancy law office in New York City. Before I go further, let me stop here. If you're listening to this and still haven't subscribed, ask yourself this. What would you do if the person you loved most left behind a secret this big and you almost missed it? Don't risk missing the next truth. Subscribe now. If you won't, then at least drop a comment and explain why you'd turn away from a story like this. The place smelled of old money and important paperwork. Robert's attorney, a man named Derek, slid a small antique box across his big polished desk. Inside was a brass key and an envelope with Robert's neat handwriting. "Your husband bought a property in Montana 3 years ago," Derek explained. "It's called Maple Creek Ranch. The deed is now in your name." My stomach dropped. How had Robert, my careful, quiet Robert, kept a secret this big? And where did he get the money for a ranch? My head was already spinning when Derek leaned in, his voice a low whisper. "The ranch is, well, gold-plated now. They found a lot of oil there about 1.5 years ago. We were not rich." This made no sense at all. I opened the letter with hands that trembled. "My dearest Olivia, I've left you too soon. I know I made you promise never to go there. I'm releasing you from that promise. I'm asking you to go just once before you decide what to do with it." That's when Derek dropped the final bomb. Robert's family, 3 brothers he hadn't spoken to in years, had already tried to take the ranch. They claimed he wasn't right in the head when he bought it. This wasn't just a piece of land anymore. This was a war. 48 hours later, after a long flight and an even longer drive through the rugged Montana hills, I stood in front of the tall, black iron gates of Maple Creek Ranch. This wasn't some broken-down old family farm. It was a huge, beautiful estate with a freshly painted 2-story farmhouse. I used the brass key to unlock the front door. The moment I stepped inside, I gasped. The entire house was like a museum dedicated to my biggest love, horses. There were paintings of them, beautiful statues and delicate sculptures on every shelf. Robert had always supported my hobby, but he never really got it. Now it was like he had built a secret world just for me. Before I could even really take it all in, I heard tires crunching on the gravel outside. A black SUV pulled up and 3 men got out. They had the same kind of sharp eyes and strong jaw as Robert. His brothers had arrived. My heart started beating like a drum. I locked the front door and heard a sharp pounding on the wood. "Olivia Mitchell, we know you're in there. We should talk," a silver-haired man shouted. I knew he must be George, the oldest. They weren't here for a family hug. They were here for the oil. Ignoring the banging on the door, I hurried to a small desk and opened a laptop that was already there. A folder was labeled "For Olivia." Inside were hundreds of video files, one for every day of my first year without him. I clicked on the first one. Robert's face filled the screen, looking so healthy and happy, with that lopsided grin that always made my heart do a little happy dance. "Hello, Cat," he began. That was his special nickname for me. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and you've come to the ranch, even though I made you promise not to. I should have known you wouldn't be able to resist." Then he started telling me everything. 3 years ago, the doctors told me I had a bad heart condition. They gave me 2 to 5 years. I didn't tell you or Sophia. I wanted to live fully with you, not slowly die in front of you. I felt so many things at once. A terrible sadness for him, anger that he had kept such a huge secret, and a wave of pure, simple love. He explained how he had used that time to buy back the ranch from his deadbeat father before he passed away. He did it all to build this place for my horses. "My brothers will come for it." Robert's voice was strong and sure. "They never cared about this place until they found out about the oil. They'll try everything to take it from you." He told me to look for a blue folder on the desk. Every single legal document I needed was inside. The ranch was mine, fair and and square. Just as the video ended, a black and white cruiser from the county sheriff's office came rolling up the driveway. I opened the door and stood face to face with a young state trooper and Robert's 3 angry-looking brothers. I took a deep breath, trying to look as calm as I could. "My husband actually knew this would happen," I said. I handed the officer the blue folder. George looked at me like I was a confused child. "Officer, this is just a messy family matter," he said. "My sister-in-law is emotional and a bit lost." "Actually," I said, a little fire rising inside me, "I'm not emotional or lost. I'm a widow standing on land that legally belongs to me." The trooper looked over the papers. "Gentlemen," he said, handing the folder back to me, "I don't see any reason for me to be here. This is a matter for the court." The next day, my daughter Sophia showed up, smiling and dressed in a fancy suit. She shook hands with her uncles, whom she had never met before. My phone buzzed. "Arrived with Uncle George and the others. We need to talk." George, smooth as glass, made his offer. "A third for you, Olivia, a third for Sophia, and a third for us. Everybody wins." Sophia looked at me, a hopeful look on her face. "It makes sense, Mom. We could sell everything, walk away with millions, and Dad's family stays together." They had her completely fooled. George stared straight into my eyes. "You're a schoolteacher from Phoenix, Arizona, facing a legal fight against people with a lot more money and power. Robert put you in a very bad spot." I knew then that this was a battle for more than just money. It was a fight for Sophia's heart. I got the brothers to leave the house, and then I found Ellis, the ranch manager. He led me to a weathered old barn and moved some hay bales to show me a trapdoor in the dirt floor. I followed him down some steps into a dark concrete tunnel. We walked until we came to a big, locked steel door. On the other side was Robert's secret war room. The room had everything: maps, documents, and computer screens. There were copies of reports that showed George and his brothers had been lying. The real giant oil field wasn't under the eastern side of the ranch they offered to share with us. It was under the worthless western hills. Robert hadn't just been getting ready for his own passing, he was planning for war. The brothers, along with an oil company boss, arrived for a final meeting. Sophia was by my side, wearing a beautiful dress and her father's watch. I stood at the head of a long table. I pressed a remote, and a huge map of the ranch appeared on a hidden screen. Then I put a see-through map of the oil deposits on top of it. "As you can see," I said, pointing to the screen, "the most valuable oil is under the western section, the acres you were kind enough to leave out of your so-called fair deal." Before George could even try to say anything, the door opened and a new voice cut in. The CEO of Northern Extraction's biggest rival, Western Plains Energy, walked in and gave me a little wink. My attorney passed out sealed envelopes to the brothers. Inside were copies of documents Robert had kept about their past crimes, taking money that wasn't theirs, stealing a family inheritance, and making threats. "What do you want?" George finally asked, all his power gone. "I want you to leave Maple Creek Ranch and never come back," I said, my voice clear and strong. "I want you to stop trying to take the ranch from me or trick my daughter. If you do, these documents stay private." 2 hours later, George and his brothers left, their heads down, their greed costing them everything. The future of Maple Creek Ranch was safe. Robert had used their own greed against them, just like he had planned. Sophia and I now sit together in the evenings and watch the videos he made. We listen to his voice, his jokes, and his love for us. The ranch will be okay. The oil will be taken out carefully, and I will paint again in the art studio he secretly built for me. The thing I was told never to touch had become my most cherished treasure. The secret had become a gift, and I, Olivia Mitchell, had become the keeper of a legacy built on the strongest thing of all: love freely given and gratefully received. This story could vanish into the noise of the internet unless you help keep it alive. Subscribe now before it gets buried and lost forever. If you don't, then at least write in the comments why you're comfortable letting powerful stories like this disappear without a